Welcome back to the To Hull and Back podcast. That is a terrible intro. It doesn't really work when you're saying all those words again. And today we're doing another opposition preview with a Burnley fan, Adam Dennett from the No Nay Never podcast. How are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for inviting us on. Looking forward to the game tomorrow, especially after Hull's encouraging start. We kind of had this down as maybe an easier home game after our trip to Watford, but I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah, and I've forgotten the sponsors again. We are proudly sponsored by Pearson's Bar and 6 Yards Out, who made us this lovely shirt, which isn't the whole shirt. It's our official To Hull and Back one. And as you can see, we've got a lovely new background, which has Pearson's Bar on. So it was very exciting putting that on today. So, I do this for every fan that comes on to the opposition preview. I did this for a Norwich fan the last time because we played them. And I already know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. You finished 18th in the Premier League last season. Was that a successful season for Burnley?
On the face of it, no, absolutely not. But I think most Burnley fans are quite realistic in the fact that we're in the Premier League for 6 years, which if you'd have offered us that when we went back up in 2015-16 after 2 relegations, our previous 2 trips to the Premier League, I think they'd have taken that. We fought right to the end in the true Burnley fashion, and in the end we just weren't good enough. Not a successful season, but obviously I think now it's led to a transition, and we'll see where we go from here. Be grateful for what we've had, and hopefully work hard this season to get back there.
Well, yeah, we were just discussing it a little bit before the show started, but really, in a way, those 6 years were pretty good for Burnley, and Hull City and Burnley sort of linked, been promoted similar seasons and relegated in the same seasons. So, has it been worth it, really, the last 6 years? Because we went down pretty much we got promoted at the same time in 2016, but it's been a very different 6 years for both clubs.
Yeah, definitely. It's been fantastic for a Burnley fan of my generation. Obviously, the older fans got to experience a really good side in the 60s. But I never thought growing up watching us in the Division 2, old third division, League 1 now. The third division, playing teams like Grimsby, Wrexham, Stockport, that we'd ever managed 6 seasons in the Premier League consecutively. So absolute success. And obviously we had the 7th place finish and European qualification. Again, playing teams we're going to say like Aberdeen, but first venture into Europe up to Aberdeen. But Aberdeen, Istanbul, Basaksehir, who've been in the Champions League since, we beat them, and then losing out to Olympiacos in the final qualifying. It's just something that Burnley fans never thought they'd experience. And 2 top 10 finishers under Sean Dyche, they'll live long in the memory. For a team like Burnley, with the investment we've had, we're a local owner all that time, is quite remarkable. And everyone's enjoyed the journey, and the fans have backed the team all the way. Even when we were struggling all last season, I don't think you'd have found many Burnley fans who wanted Dyche to leave. Obviously, in the end, with hindsight, he might have left a bit too late, because after he left, we picked up 12 points from the last 10 games. That over a season would have been good enough, and we fell just short. But I think eventually, first 3 or 4 years, we really rode the crest of a wave. We finished 10th. We didn't invest. I think we only spent 1 million the season after we finished 10th. And then it was just a slippery slope from there. You stand still and you go backwards in the Premier League. Following season, warning signs, 17th, change of ownership in this season just gone. And to be fair, last summer wasn't too bad in terms of incomings. We brought in Cornet, Roberts, Collins, all for decent fees, all young.
They all did well, didn't they?
They all perform well, and obviously we've lost Corney and Collins on the back of that. But that's just one of them things with relegation. But since the new owners came in, they've changed the transfer policy of going for mainly experienced players, tried and trusted, often from Stoke, like Bardsley, Peters, Crouch, trying to bring those sort of players in. But yeah, we fell just short. And like I said, it's just give us the opportunity to have a major refresh this summer.
Yeah, that was another thing I'd forgotten about that sort of links Holland Burnley. We've both lost in the final qualifying stage of the Europa League, which is gutting. But we aren't the only clubs to have done that, because I think Southampton and West Ham have both done it as well. Like, you just don't really take it as seriously, maybe just because they're qualifying.
No, I really, at the time, people were struggling in the league when we were going through the qualification, and people were saying we need to just concentrate on the league. But I'm thinking, this is just the Premier League for any like modern owner has got to be the bread and butter for
Europe
the money,
is
the
so
future.
fun for the fans, isn't it?
But for the fans, I would have rather qualified for the Europa League that season and got relegated. That might not be.
Well, we got relegated as well.
That might not be the view of all Burnley fans, I've got to say. But for me, I'm not going to. I may see Burnley in the top tier again, and we have for the next 3 seasons we managed it. But I might never see Burnley in the European football again. So when we lost that final qualifying round to Olympiacos, they were just a bit too savvy for us, really. But yeah, I was gutted. I was really, really upset. And you've got to be really happy as far as we got. But if we'd have made it into the group stage, that'd have been next level. But anyway, I've got to be happy with what we've got.
I think
who did you guys play?
Well, we beat, I think it was a Slovakian team, AS Trenčín, 2-1 in the first round, and then the second round we lost to Lokeren.
Belgium.
Yeah, and we would have had an absolutely dreadful group if we'd got through, so maybe we wouldn't have been very interested anyway. But at least Hull do have a 100% home win record in Europe, so we've got that to hold on to. 2 games, both 2-1, but wasn't enough. Anyway, that's too depressing, really, so let's move on to something less depressing. We're still getting relegated, so not that great. I said the same to the Norwich City fan, because it's a similar sort of scenario. If he had Daniel Farke still as a manager, would you be more optimistic about your chances this season? And I reckon that's probably the same for Burnley fans and Sean Dyche. Would you be more encouraged with him as a manager than Company about going back up again?
I think at the time he was sacked, definitely. It looked like we were on a sinking ship anyway. I didn't think we had any chance. Getting rid of Dyche at that point just seemed, I think most Burnley fans just thought it were self-destruction, and who would we want leading us back? He's already taken us up twice. We've only lost 5 games in both the last 2 championship seasons, so 10 of the last 95 games, if you go to the previous season, I think we've lost. It were like a really brilliant record with Dyche in the championship. And for me, I was thinking, who would you want to lead us back? But again, it's easy to use hindsight. The new owners have obviously got an idea of how they want to manage things. They've brought the man in Company. I think when I saw Company linked with the job initially, I assumed that was only if we were staying in the Premier League. I didn't think with his profile he'd want to come and drop from Anderlecht to the Championship. I thought, if we stay up, Company might be an option, but go down, probably not. So I think that it's a risk. No one knows that it's going to pay off, but it's a real clean break that we probably needed. If we'd have kept Dyche, 9.5 years is a very long time. It's a long time since we've been in the Championship, so it's really difficult to say if it would have had a better or a worse chance, but it would have been completely different seasons. May have both been successful, but the style of play, the personnel, it's poles apart. And I think most Burnley fans are happy and they're just ready to go along with the ride and enjoy it as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting season, really, with the new players and new manager as well. Because I mean,
And what
9.5 years, hadn't
yeah,
realised it was that long. Is that
yeah,
perhaps even too long to be a manager? Because although you're in the Premier League for a long time, and you had that seventh placed position for one season, you didn't really push on. You're always sort of struggling every year. So maybe, if you change managers a bit earlier, maybe you wouldn't be here.
yeah. It's hard because I don't
Difficult to
think at
say
any
though.
point, yeah, I don't think at any point we could have really wanted justified getting rid of Dyche.
Mm,
When we went up the first time, they didn't really invest that much in the side. They built a new training ground. The club top to bottom has been shaped by the success of Sean Dyche. To change things in the middle of real success would have been stupid in my opinion. But what company does as well is it brings a profile and probably just a different media feel about the place. It was very much old school Brexit Burnley.
mm.
Lots of negatives
I
around.
didn't say that.
Yeah, so you bleep it out if you want. Um, and very very negative with like media, like PR.
Mm.
Whereas the new owners and his company brings brings a real positive focus to the club. Obviously, he's wanting to play a very modern brand of football. Like I said, it's poles apart. It felt like we were supporting a different side on that first game against Huddersfield. We were there with 70% of the possession, knocking the ball about, and it come all new faces, new dugout. Very strange, but very easy to get used to when we played like we did against Huddersfield. But there's always going to be bumps in the road when you do make that many changes all at the same time. So we've got to be patient, as difficult as it is, and trust in what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, in the whole City fan base, we're having very similar discussions about having a new manager, new ownership, new style of play, new players, a lot of them, and how the main thing this season is making sure that they're given the time to, bed in. So, do you think that is the key thing, and do you think company's the right person to not only, be the manager, but to also bring in a lot of new players? Would it perhaps be better to have a manager with more experience in England, or does that not matter?
I think again, originally people were bounding the names of like Wilder out there as potential candidates, and initially you think you want someone who's been in the Championship, done it in the Championship, and knows what it's all about. But in terms of Vincent Kompany's grounding, obviously he's got all the experience at Manchester City, Anderlecht, managing a top club in Europe. Okay, they've been on a bit of a downward spiral, but he had a clear philosophy over there of how he wanted to play and had relative success. Got them back to cup finals, back into Europe, third place finish. I think a lot of them were surprised when he's decided to move on. There's no doubt it's a risk with the lack of Championship experience, and there's a lot of discussions around some of the transfer business this summer that you look at a lot of sides that have been successful in the Championship, and they've all had recently a goal scorer. Pookie at Norwich, obviously, a couple of years ago, and a couple of years before that, they do the yo-yo with Fulham.
Mitrovic.
Mitrovic, Bournemouth, Solanke last year. Forest maybe not as much, but they had Brennan Johnson, who we think he fired 20-odd goals. When we've gone up previously, we've had Patterson, Ings, Gray all scoring 20-odd goals. We're used to having that and seeing that main striker, and it seems to be kind of signing a lot of attacking players, but not really address that main figurehead.
If it was 2016, it would be okay because Ashley Barnes would bang them in, but he's not
anymore.
25 anymore, is he?
No, exactly. So that's what a lot of fans are shouting about. I don't know if we'll come on to this year's transfer business anyway, but
they're all written here.
Yeah, I think that's probably some fans are maybe questioning if he's naive to the league, but football's changing all the time. There's different ways to skin a cat in this system. Do we need that? A lot of this discussion is going to be me saying we need to wait and see, because there's so many unknowns after all the changes. But there's a lot of positive feeling about the fan base at the moment.
Okay, so you mentioned it there. Shall we go on to the 10 new signings?
Yeah, I think it'll become even more quite soon. We've been linked with another winger from Stuttgart, Cherlinov, Macedonian international. A lot of these players that have come in, I hadn't heard of before this season. I'd been sucked in to the Premier League bubble really the last 6 years. Probably got carried away with myself. Used to love growing up watching all the lower leagues and knowing all about them playing Football Manager and stuff when you're a bit younger helps. But 5 or 6 years away, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, I've lost touch with a lot of it. And we're bringing in lots of young players from either League One, well, mainly League One, or people that companies been with and seen in Belgium, or young players from Manchester City, or young players from the Premier League. So a lot of the players I don't know a lot about, but they all fit a similar. They're all a similar fit. They're all young. Obviously, got decent football upbringing, either in the lower leagues or through a decent academy, and they all look to be good business deals in terms of we're buying them for 2 or 3 million, with the potential, if they're successful, to sell them on for a lot more than that. So the signings that stand out for me, probably the player I knew the most about was Josh Cullen. Seen him play for Bradford City a few times. I've got friends who are Bradford fans. I worked in Bradford for a long time. He was on loan from West Ham for a season there and a standout. And then followed his career since then, really, for Ireland and Anderlecht. Really tidy player, and I think he's been our best player over the first 3 games. He's perfect in the system that company wants to play. Really tenacious, but real quality on the ball. Again, I think his goal scoring record's not very good, but I don't think that's the role he'll play, no matter how much company wants to share it about. And then the other one's probably Scott Twine. Seeing obviously the highlights from, I've got a Hull City fan in my office who were telling me who were hoping that they could get that one over the line, and then next thing, obviously we've come in with in a lot probably better, more healthy position now, like financial wise, with the years in the Premier League, and kind of snaffled him up before anyone really had a chance. But people are really excited about him. He's had an injury in pre-season, so we haven't seen what he's capable of yet. Whether he'll come in and play the striker role in that fluid system, we don't know. But obviously, he has got goal scoring pedigree and looks a real talent. And not forgetting, we've signed our first ever Brazilian this summer, Vitinho. So I think people are getting his name on back of the shirts just because Burnley have signed a Brazilian. It feels a bit.
We've had a few.
Yeah, a bit strange. Yeah, not Javinho. What were the guy who scored?
Giovanni, Evandro as well a few years back. Maybe some others in the middle that I can't remember. But at least 2.
It feels so different than the usual. I think we fielded 4 Englishmen at the weekend, which is our lowest for quite a number of years, and definitely since Dyche took over. But really, really encouraging signs with who we brought in. But you've got to say, with the business hat on as well, they've had to do it. So there's a lot of reports. We were subject to a leverage buyout. So obviously we've got quite a lot more debt, which relied on staying in the Premier League.
Well, I do remember reading about that maybe February time last season. I thought, well, Burnley have to stay up because then they'll be in big trouble, and maybe that's why the deals you've done have been more astute, kind of maybe almost like sensible signings that really relegated teams don't usually do.
Yeah, and at the same time, we've got the parachute payments to clear the debt that we need to this year. We brought in 10 million for Pope, 20 million for McNeil, almost the same. Collins and Cornet, similar 20 million-ish fees. So it's like 70 million. We've spent 20 million. So it's 50 million in the bank, basically. And we still look like we've got a team that can compete. Time will tell. But yeah, as a fan, you don't really want to see 20 million spent, 70 million in the bank. But I think we were expecting it, and it does make sense what they've done. It'll be interesting if we don't have that success in the first 1 or 2 seasons, what then happens? Because obviously, a lot of the players that have gone out will have been the big earners as well. So you're probably already shrinking the wage budget, but you don't go back up, and you just don't know how much of a gamble it is. And when you've seen local teams struggle, like Oldham and Bury, who, like I've seen us playing in league games when I was growing up. Now, well, Bury near enough gone. Obviously, they're coming back in like another form in the really lower leagues, and Oldham really struggling out of the league and in financial peril last year. It just brings the reality back of you just want your football club to be okay and managed well. And in the other previous years, you knew that there was a bit of a buffer with like responsible local ownership, but I think the whole thing just got a bit too big for them, and it was the right time to sell. And obviously, we've taken a bit of a gamble, come down, and now, this is the end result. But we need to make the most of these first couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's more important to have the club stable than necessarily pushing to go up, because a lot of teams, if they haven't gone up, like we've seen it with Derby, they spend a lot of money, and Stoke, they spend a lot of money that they don't have, and they're just hoping that they get it when they go up. So yeah, because I was surprised looking at the transfers that, I mean, as you said, I think they're all good deals, and there are some good players in there. I think Twine, I mean, I scouted him when I thought he was coming to City. He looks a very good player and could, be worth, 10 times as much next season. If you have one good season in the Championship and you're a young English player, you're worth at least 15 million. We've seen that with Lewis Potter, and I thought it was perhaps a little surprising that he hadn't spent as much on the fees, but they're 10 decent players, I reckon. And yeah, again, it's interesting to see clearly the company link has been used, because you've got a lot of players from Man City and then also from Belgium. So, I mean, I think we've mentioned most of them. So have any of them, you said Cullen, he's been the best. We'll just go on to the first few games then. Who's impressed you in the first 3 games at Huddersfield, Luton and Watford?
Cullen, probably man of the match our man of the match in those games. But Ian Maatsen, they say don't fall in love with loan players, but it's very difficult not to when he's putting the performances that he has. He gets up and down that left wing.
Where's he on loan from?
He's on loan from Chelsea. He was on loan at Coventry last season and played all their games. And when we brought him in, everyone's thinking, well, does that mean the end for Charlie Taylor? Because he's been very good for us at left back over a number of years. But with this system, they've moved Charlie Taylor inside to centre half.
So is it 3-5-2 or something?
If I'm going on to starting lineups later, I'm guessing, but it's very it was very difficult to get our head around in the first few weeks after seeing such a rigid 4-4-2 for so many years. But I think we line up in like a 4-2-2-2, and then with Maatsen on the left, Taylor and Taylor Howard-Bellis in the middle, and Roberts on the right. But when we've got the ball, Maatsen's just got that free rein up the left wing, and the other 3 just tuck in centrally, and we've got the shield of Cork and Cullen in front. So we don't really have a left-hand side forward player, because Maatsen, as soon as we've got the ball, is just off. So it is a very fluid system, and it's hard for me to get my head around at the moment. But yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant the first few games.
All good. So I hope he's not good on Tuesday, but yeah. So I mean, you've got 4 points from 3 games. And you were saying, you've got a lot of new players and new manager. Would you have taken that before the season started?
Probably.
You take 9 points.
Well, if we'd have drawn at Watford, which we probably deserve to draw, just got a harsh lesson, really, of there were nothing in the game up to half time. We give away a sloppy goal. Watford defended well. We didn't really create enough until they're sending off in the last 15 minutes, and we probably should have got a point after that point. But in the disappointing thing is in I think it's a disappointment and it's a positive at the same time. In 3 games, our new keeper Muric, who is giving a lot of the older fans a heart attack most games, where he's passing out from the back after years and years of
Lumpet.
getting up the pitch. Yeah, but no, it's the way we're going to play now. It does have its benefits. Obviously, it's got its risks as well. But in the first 3 games, Muric hasn't made a save. He's made 0 saves. So that's
like 0-0.
0. He hasn't made a save in 3 games. So We've only conceded 2 shots on target, and they've both gone in. So that's a good thing in a way, because we are looking solid. We're having a lot of the ball. That's not really been an issue. I think our issue is at the other end of the pitch, but it's that. But then obviously you want to see him. Is he able to make saves? I'm sure he is. But it's just a bit disappointing that we've conceded only 2 shots on goal. That we've
Man City goalkeepers aren't trained to make saves, are they? They're trained to be midfield players.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he has spent a lot of time on the halfway line. But so yeah, 4. So back to your question: 4 points in 3 games. Yeah, it's 2 playoff teams and a relegated team from last season. Yeah, it's not horrendous, but you would have looked at the fixtures at the start of the season, and Hull and Blackpool coming up now. We probably need to take at least 4, possibly 6 points from those games for it to be deemed a positive start. But again, that's really getting ahead of ourselves with all the changes. We know if we only get 1 or 2 points from those games, we've got to stick with the team and stick with what we're trying to do, because it's a long season. We've seen in the past Norwich not get off to the best of starts. In years we've gone up, we've not had the best of starts. It's a very long season. If you put a run of wins together at any point, you can shoot up that table. So we take it. We hope that we can get some positive results in these next 2, you'd say, winnable home games. Obviously, you've had a great start as well, and then reassess at that point. But yeah, I've 5 out of 10, or 4 out of 9.
Yeah. Well, I would have taken 4 points from our first 3, but we've done quite well. Yeah, 7 points from 9. That's a very solid start for us.
Goals at the weekend were different.
Oh, but they're the sort of goals you want to score, really. Either like an amazing attacking move, or just scraping in, from a deflection. That's great.
I'm still not over that penalty decision from a couple of weeks ago in your first home win. I can't remember.
There is contact against Bristol City. There is definite contact. He stood on his foot, but the thing is, he takes so long to fall over afterwards.
Just looks
and he's so huge. I thought he dived at the time, but
you take it though, don't you? And especially,
absolutely.
That's one thing. No VAR this season. I think a lot of fans are grateful for that, but you want your cake and eat it. With obviously, any time we got a penalty shout, we're saying, well, we'd have got that last year, and then on the other hand, you can celebrate a goal and know it's a goal, and not have to wait and be messed about and not know what's going on. So, I think a lot of Burnley fans are happy not to have VAR this season as well.
But I wouldn't necessarily be happy, because the standard of officiating in the EFL is just absolutely dreadful. If you think the Premier League's bad, the 2 home games we've had already, the referees have been absolutely woeful for both teams, just getting everything wrong. So you don't really know what's going to happen. But I think maybe we might get a bit lucky again tomorrow with some things. So I'm skipping ahead here. I think it might be another tight game. But you mentioned it slightly earlier. What do you think the lineup is going to be for Burnley tomorrow?
Obviously, I think Muric will be in goal / centre midfield. And then, like I said before, back 4, Connor Roberts, Taylor Howard-Bellis, and Charlie Taylor in the centre, Maatsen on the left-hand side.
That's quite strong back 5, really.
Yeah, like I said, we've looked really good defensively so far. Sloppy goal at Watford. We switched off against Luton as well, but we're not conceding many chances. You'd hope over the course of a season, if you can eradicate
average out, won't it? Yeah.
You'd hope so. So we look pretty solid. Cork and Cullen will sit in front of them as the next 2. And then probably Bastian and Brownhill. So another new signing, Congo international Bastian, Josh Brownhill. who looks a very good Championship player, probably fell slightly short of our expectations in the Premier League, but also looks very bright in this system of getting a bit more license to get in and around the box. And obviously scored our goal against Luton with a really good finish and had a couple of chances the other day, hit the bar against Watford and had a shot saved by Backman. And then the front two is probably where we might see changes from the other night. So we started with Benson, Manuel Benson, who we bought from Antwerp in Belgium, and Ashley Barnes, who's been like a fridge. So Benson got kicked a few times early on against Watford. It was a really bright spot when he came on against Luton and changed the game and really forced them back and probably really helped us get the draw. But then, yeah, he had a couple of kicks and just didn't really want to take his man on after that. He's going to have to learn quickly in the Championship against some of the physical sides that's not going to cut it. You need to still have the courage to take your man on. So I'm sure he will learn. But if he doesn't start, then I think it'll be our Brazilian Vitinho, who came on for the last 20 minutes and looked really good, did show some really good intent the other day. And I think a lot of Burnley fans will be happy to see him come in for tomorrow's game. And then up front, Ashley Barnes, like I said, it's really struggled because it's been so good for us over such a long period of time, but the goals really have dried up over the last 2 or 3 years, and he's had injuries, he's had some controversies as well, drink driving and all sorts of stuff, and he just seems like he's going out there for a fight, and just, well, he's been offside quite a lot as well in the game, so he's just not, he's not had much service, but he's not doing much with any of it either, and not looking like creating anything for anyone else. So Jay Rodriguez has been injured. He came back in as a sub the other day. Didn't look quite with it, but still probably provided more of a threat than Barnes. So I'd hope it'll be Jay Rodriguez. And even more of a hope is that we bring someone in to play that role going forward. But it'll be either one of those two leading the line as well.
Yeah, I think what you said earlier about not having a proper goal scorer. Do you still have Vidra?
No, he was offered a new contract, but he did his ACL at Watford. He's probably not had a fair crack under Dyche over the years. He's not made many appearances. He's had periods he looks a really good player, but he never scored enough goals at Premier League level. Obviously in the Championship quite a long time ago when he were at Watford, banged him in, and Derby. And has really good Championship pedigree, and I think a lot of fans would have liked him to stay, but I don't think he'd have been fit until the new year anyway, so it's just one of them things. I think it's probably right for him to move on and find somewhere else who will give him a better chance. But yeah, he probably, if a fully fit Vidra would probably fit better into this system than either of the strikers that we've got available at the moment.
Yeah, well, we should probably wrap it up now, so we'll do a score prediction. But here's a quote from my boss, Ant. I used to hate Burnley on the fixture list. We always played crap and lost 1-0. And I think if we'd lost to Norwich or drawn, maybe I'd be willing to agree with that. But I still think I've predicted every game to be a draw this season. I'm not going to be quite as optimistic and say we're going to beat Burnley. Ant says we usually get promoted if we beat Burnley. I don't necessarily think we'll do that, but I think it might be another tight draw, although I think Burnley will have a lot of the ball. So Adam, what's your prediction, your score prediction for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think, like I've said, we've struggled going forward. We've not really had that cutting edge at the top end of the pitch, so we're hopeful that'll come eventually. It'll be another tight game. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Burnley win.
Yeah.
And
that usually
Gerrard to get the goal. But really, it's not. I can't see us running away with it at this point. I'm hoping it does suddenly click, but it'll be against what we've witnessed so far. So take any win at the moment.
And is going maybe optimistic 1-1. I'll agree with him there. I'm not agreeing with him just because he's the host and I need to do what he tells me to do.
Who are these new strikers you've got? Sorry, just.
Oh, okay. We've got
pretty high profile, aren't they?
Yeah, Benjamin Tete, less high profile, did well for Slavia Prague and okay for Yeni Malatyaspor or something like that in Turkey. But he's a big lump, 6'4", Ghanaian striker, should be at the World Cup, at least in the squad. And he's looked okay. He's been playing on the wing, even though he's 6'4", so that's been a bit odd. Hopefully we have about 8 wingers either unsigned yet or injured. So hopefully he shouldn't have to play on the wing ever again when they're fit. But then the other one is the big profile one. Oscar Estepinian scored 2 at Norwich, and he scored 25 goals in about 50 appearances in Portugal before we signed him, and we got him for free. So if he does well for us, he could be at the World Cup for Colombia, which would be great. So yeah, he's maybe the danger man, goal scoring wise. And then the other player to look out for tomorrow is Ozan Tufan. Seri is injured. Tufan's been amazing for us so far. We thought it would take him a while to get fit, but he looks great already. And you don't necessarily need to be fit because his technique's so good. If he just stands still on the edge of the box, he'll probably still score as long as you get the ball to him. So he's the danger man.
Yeah, if you've got quality players at this level, they stand out like a sore thumb, don't they? Like when Joey Barton were instrumental the last time. I know he's divides opinion, but his quality on the ball our last promotion season made a massive difference. It should be good.
Yeah, Tufan looks far better than a lot of the midfielders in this league. And I mean, sometimes I do think we're going to miss George Honeyman because he's gone to Millwall, but then I look at Tufan and think, I think we'll probably be okay.
And Seri were 25 million quid, weren't he, for Fulham a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've got him in my championship, that Gaffer Championship fantasy football as well. So I've learned something new tonight. I've not read up on your team news, so I'll be getting him out of my side.
Well, yeah, he is injured, so don't drop him. Put Tufan in. I think that would be a decent.
I won't be doing that ahead of Burnley. I can't be doing that.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Maybe next week.
If you're saying that you've not conceded many shots on target, then maybe it's maybe he'll be the person to break that, or maybe he'll just continue that trend. So maybe not the best idea. Anyway, yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on. You've been maybe the best opposition fan we've had so far, but I say that every week. So thank you very much for coming on. Where can people find your content for No Nay Never?
So it's at No Nay Never on Twitter. We put out a weekly preview and analysis show based around all the fixtures. Obviously, they're coming very thick and fast this season, more than we used to in the previous seasons. We've had specials in the past with Ian Wright and Jordan North. Interact with the fan base as much as we can with quizzes, newsletters, and all sorts of other bits. So yeah, at No Nay Never is the best place to find us if you want any Burnley content before the game.
Yeah, cool. Well, to Helen back, we'll be back again probably on Thursday to review the Norwich win and hopefully another great performance against Burnley, but perhaps not. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for listening.